All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time of the day it is where you're watching this video, but the day of me recording this is Friday before Memorial Day weekend. And I'm shocked because gas is under $4.20 a gallon. And I thought for sure it was going to be way higher. Now looking at this pump, oh, that's ethanol free. I was gonna say that's some very false advertisements, but I was looking at the wrong one. As you can see, the car's a little messy. We're about to head to Myrtle Beach for the weekend. We've got a little condo on the beach down there. But I'm slightly over 25,000 miles, and this was still the tank from my last Sienna video that we did a couple weeks ago. Where we put the 91 octane fuel, and since that time our trip A is 291 miles, and we are still relatively high above half of a tank, which leads me to believe that it is possible to get higher MPGs on 91 octane, or 93 octane I should say, than we were getting with the 87. Typically we would get about 530-ish miles, maybe a little less than that, on a regular tank of 87. But here it looks like we might be able to push closer to 600. Regardless, I am going to be going and putting 87 in the rest of this tank. It's going to be a blend, I guess you could say. So I'm going to reset trip A here. I'm going to fill up, and we're going to see how well we do with our trip to Myrtle Beach. So with that, and we have maintenance coming up, I'm also going to be blending in the 25,000 mile review of the Sienna. It's officially been a little over a year. Give you my full thoughts on everything, not just fuel, MPGs. Right now we're sitting at 25,364 miles. So let's fill her up and see how well we do with our trip to Myrtle Beach. All right, so 3201 for 7.847 gallons. Gonna let it sit for a sec and top it off. We're gonna shoot for 3210. See if I can get it. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm just not gonna do it. That's a whole 70-cent difference per gallon. I mean, I know it's not that significant, but to get pretty much the same MPGs, we're not towing a whole lot. We're not filling it up a whole lot. We are gonna have three full-size people and my little girl. So we'll see how well we do. All right, so we have topped it up, and as you can see, the computer is showing 580 miles till E, which is different. It typically, on a full tank, when we refill with 87, we'll say 540, maybe 530 miles till E. So a little bit of a theory, like I mentioned before, is that we did fill up before with that 93 octane, and that could have improved MPGs, but also my wife works maybe 2 miles from where we live now, and that's why the tank hadn't been yet. I mean, that was 2 weeks ago that we filled up at Carol Wind, so not even half of a tank has been used. And with her workplace being in the same community that we live, you can't really go faster than about 25-35 miles an hour anyways. So she's mostly using the hybrid power, aside from when the AC is blasting on full or something like that. So that could be another contributing factor to why our distance to E is much greater. We're not going to give the 93 octane fuel 100% of that credit. So we'll see. All right, she's all packed up. That's one of the things I'll start my review with, is that the trunk And storage area is very, very spacious. As you can see, we've got a whole entire ice chest in there, along with a giant suitcase, my daughter's suitcase, 4 chairs, 2 beach umbrellas, and a duffel bag. So very spacious. All right, so I did a update on our trip before we left, and as you can see, we are sitting right around 37.5 MPGs for this trip. And yeah, I mean, we're doing pretty good, chugging along so far. You can see we're slightly under full, and we've got about, let's see, how many miles have we gone so far? Turn this trip, 128 miles with 457 left to go till E. So we'll see how we do at the end of the trip. Almost forgot to show my Google Maps screen. As you can see, we got about 23 more miles left to go to our destination. So running into a little bit of traffic. We'll see how we get as we get close to the strip of Myrtle Beach. stopping to make this quick little video is to see we're just crossed 300 miles left till E on this tank that we filled up on this past Friday before we left for our trip. So as you can see, it's just got 297 left till E. And our trip A, which I haven't reset or anything like that since we filled up, it shows 296. Well, might as well call it, yep, 297. So 297 and 297 should give us just shy of 600 miles on this tank. So that's very, very good fuel if we keep going based off of what the computer is saying. And if we ride it all the way till E, but more than likely we won't. We'll probably hit about 550 miles before we actually do a fill up. So I just wanted to share that. And let's also take a look and see what the average MPG has been. Trying to see if I can get it to display here, which there it is, 38.6. So overall, very, very good fuel economy. We do have 4 people in the van and a full trunk load full of stuff. And now on the way back, we even have ice in the ice chest. So overall, I am very impressed. Okay, I'm gonna just talk through this portion of the video. We've made it back home, and let's see here. We were averaging about 38.7 MPG. As you can see here, this is after a little bit of running around when we got home. I'm talking less than 10 miles, but we are sitting right at a half of a tank. So we were able to go from Columbia to Myrtle Beach and back with a half a tank of gas. And the computer shows we have 252 miles left till E. And our trip A was 361.4 miles. So effectively, that would give us, close to 600 if we take it all the way to E. Actually, a little over 600, pardon my math there. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that really quick. So we're gonna kind of roll into the review portion of this video. I've already talked about the storage space. One of the things, and I'm just gonna kind of nitpick here, I'm not gonna be super thorough, but over 25,000 miles, some of the things that I've noticed, just if you're purchasing this vehicle and you have kids, I don't know if they did any improvements to the 22 version or if they plan on, you know, for the 23 version, but this little mirror here is not really sufficient enough to be able to see. I mean, yeah, you can see barely if someone's in the back seat, but they needed to make this just a little bit wider in order to get a better angle. I know the Honda now has it to where the Odyssey and other competitors such as like the Kia, they have it to where you can actually communicate with people in the back seat and get a better visual from their center console. So I think Toyota is slacking in that department. Another thing is just the wear and tear on the actual center console. This is going to be a pro and a con. Constantly, whenever we're on a road trip, my wife will jump over this thing because there's not like a walkway here. As you can see, it's all connected into one piece. She will climb over this, and I mean, she's not heavy or anything like that. She's only 110 pounds, but like, she's done a lot of climbing over this thing, and it's held up very well. It is very sturdy overall. However, the con to this thing is that this, if you put your keys here or anything, like, it will scratch up. I have a wipey here, and I'm gonna, you know, just wipe over this so you can see, you know, because I mean, granted, the car is not, and it's used a mess in the car. I know this is real world right here. We just got back from a beach weekend, so it's not going to be pristine. I got sand all over the place, but I'm just cleaning that, and you can see, well, we'll let that dry a little bit and come back. In the meantime, I'm going to do something that a lot of people have been watching and probably wanting me to do for a while, and that is wipe the dust off of here. So we are cleaning that bad boy. We'll see how long that lasts. Please keep in mind that this is my wife's daily and not mine. I keep the Tundra, which is sitting right there, way cleaner. But okay, so this is dried, and you can see all those residual scratch marks right here. I mean, that's just from mainly my keys. If I leave my keys here, so now, you know, I do my best to keep them in my pocket or put them in the cup holder. But I wouldn't put anything here if you don't want that to get scratched up. Another thing that I would advise is to definitely get the all-weather mats for the front and back. As you can see, you know, some of that stuff gets caked into the mats, and this is probably going to be just a generalized thing for most cars and different vehicles, but these carpets or mats kind of suck. As you can see here, it wrinkles, and we do a lot of moving back and forth sometimes to get into the third row, which is down right now. But I actually had to go back to the dealer a couple days after I purchased this just to get them to reposition the carpets, because we couldn't get the second row to slide, period. Now that may be just a dealer specific thing, but it's something that I'm gonna nitpick about. Another thing that I will talk about is the climate control. Now, the climate control that I've noticed with the Sienna over 25,000 miles is that it takes a good while for the AC to actually blow cold in the summer months. In the winter months, there's no problem, generally speaking, with the heat, but trying to get the vehicle to a comfortable temperature, especially after a really hot day, just getting into the vehicle, it's going to take some time. And then another thing that isn't really beneficial to the Sienna is the remote start feature. As you can see here, this is the key fob. It doesn't have an actual remote start. You can, however, hold down on the lock button 3 times, but I've learned that that's like a 50-50 chance that it'll work or not. There's plenty of manufacturers out there who have a auto start on their key fob. Toyota Sienna is not one. I know the other feature that you can use is actually in your phone, and that will through the Toyota app, and you can start the vehicle from inside. Keep in mind though, if it's kind of chilly at night when you arrive, then you might have the heat on or the air off. In general, it doesn't have auto climate when you remote start from your phone. So if you don't have the air on and it's going to be super hot in the morning or in the afternoon, when you get into the vehicle the following day, whatever you left it running as previously is where it's going to pick up at. So it's kind of pointless. Not to mention, when you open the door from having the Toyota app start the vehicle, it's going to cut off anyway. So it's kind of pointless unless you specifically set all your climate control settings the way you want before you get out of the vehicle. That's just, it's a lot of guessing that you have to play with. Another thing that I've noticed is, let's see, I might be able to show you guys. On the trunk, there is a feature to, ooh, it's a little tight. Let me pull up a little bit and I'll be able to show you guys. Hold on. Okay, so there is a sensor on the bottom here where you can wave your foot, and that will close and open the tailgate. And that's a 50-50 chance. You have to make sure that the sensor is clean, which, especially when you got a bunch of stuff in your hand, you're really hoping that that sensor is going to work. Another thing with opening and closing this thing is there's a feature here which I've actually been disappointed it has not worked at times when I really needed it to work. I would push this button 2 times and sometimes it would come down, sometimes it won't. If you push it twice, I've had it to where in the past it'll just beep as if it's locked or something, and it just doesn't come down, and you gotta push the button again, it goes back up, and then you push the button again and it comes back down. So this is the headache. Let me see, I have the vehicle running right now. If I kick my foot underneath, let's see if it'll work. I'll wave my foot. No, let me get a little bit closer. No, it is not working. And you see I'm putting my foot all the way under there. So I'm going to shut the vehicle off so folks can't say, oh, well, it's because you have the vehicle running, anything like that. Let me see. Okay, I'm shutting the vehicle off. Coming back over here. Let's try it again. Nothing. Let's see if the lock feature will work. And I've noticed this is the same for the side panels as well. As you can see here, it does have where you're supposed to be able to open the rear. Let's see if that works. It does not. So this might be nitpicky, but there's just a lot of features that you would want to work, especially when you're on the go or really busy. Let's see if I can get this thing to lock if I hit the button twice. Okay, so it worked that time. All right, I'm pretending that I'm coming up to the vehicle, and let's see if I put my foot underneath. Nothing. I have to, oh, there it goes. See, so there's a delay, and that's a really heavy delay. But you notice how it worked that time once the vehicle was off and I had locked it by hitting that button twice. So there's just a lot of quirks, I guess, that kind of need to get worked out, or I might be doing something wrong. If I am, leave it down in the comments below to educate me, because I might be the ignorant one here. It may not be Toyota, it might just be user error. But those are just some of the main things. Okay, back to talking about the things that I really love about the Sienna, and I'm very happy I made the purchase, is because, as the #1 reason that you guys probably guessed, the MPGs. MPGs have been phenomenal with this thing, especially the way the gas prices are right now. I've just been able to go so much further than I would have ever thought possible in a minivan, something that can carry 8 people and a bunch of luggage at the same time. The space is just phenomenal. MPGs are through the roof. I know I fussed about the Toyota app, but it has been a blessing and a curse at the same time, because if, for example, we forget to lock the doors and we're inside, we do get a text notification or a push notification, I should say, to our app on our phone to let us know that the door is unlocked or a window is down or something of that nature. And we can easily just go into the app and lock it. And for that feature, I can say confidently that it works 100% of the time. The only time it will not work is if you're in a really sketchy area for service, or if you're not connected to Wi-Fi. But if once you get to a good area, it will work just fine. But we've never run across that issue where we needed it to work and we weren't in a good area. Usually it's just at our house or at work or something like that. So real easy to just go in and push a button. Another thing that I love about the Sienna is just the ease of getting in and out. My grandmother, she's elderly, and just being able to push a button and kind of sliding in and just sitting on the seat. That might be a weird thing to some people, but for me especially, I like to sit high. I hate being low to the ground. I'm very, I'm tall, I have back problems. And for me to be able to just get in and out, that's why I have a truck. I hate cars. When we had to rent a car, we were in California for the holidays. That thing was dreadful, getting in and out of that tiny thing, and just the pain that I put on my back. So being able to sit in something so comfortable, it's kind of low to the ground, but not too low, and it's not super high to where you need to have a step to get in the vehicle. So I really enjoy that about the Sienna as well. The maintenance is also another thing that I really love about the Sienna. You can go 10,000 miles in between interval of oil changes. I know people will crucify me for saying that, but that's what it does say in the owner's manual. And you don't have to wait 10,000 miles in between intervals to get your oil change. You can do it as frequently as you want, but the science and technology behind oil nowadays will allow for you to go a greater distance, and it's convenient, especially with the amount of traveling that we do. As you see, we've got almost 26,000 miles, and we've barely had it for a little over a year. So that comes in handy, especially with the Toyota Care. If you buy it brand new, you get Toyota Care for 2 years, and that will include 2 oil changes along with 2 tire rotations. Your interval for your maintenance light will come on every 5,000 miles, but the 5,000 mile interval originally would just be for tire rotation, and they'll do a multi-point inspection on your vehicle. But that's completely up to you if you want to do that at that interval, as well as the oil changes. You can get it changed as frequently as you like, but I'm just telling you what the owner's manual says. Another thing that I love about the Sienna, and I mentioned this in my initial review of the vehicle when I first purchased it, and it still stands true today, is that it's very easy for my daughter to just push a button and do everything herself. She's, if you know her, she's super independent, and she wants to do everything. I want to do it all by myself, is what she says. So she'll push the button, get in and out, and she'll even get in and out of her car seat and do all those things herself. So for her to be able to push a button and get up into the car seat all by herself is great. And I can just push a button up top here to open the door once we park, and it's just a breeze to get her in and out. And that's the same for both sides. So if you've got more than one child, you know, opening the doors on both sides is going to be super convenient for you. And that pretty much wraps up my 25,000 mile review of the Sienna. Like I said, not a whole bunch to report, just a little bit of gripes here and there. But if those things that I've mentioned don't bother you, then definitely, you know, pull the trigger and get yourself one of these bad boys, a Toyota Sienna. And, you know, it's definitely worth the money. Actually, we kind of stole this thing. I want to say we paid $38,000 when we bought it March of last year, and now it is worth way more than what we purchased it, because obviously there's a whole supply chain issue going on in the world right now. But minivans has increased in demand since the pandemic kicked off, and so with that on top of the supply chain, it's very hard to find a XLE Sienna for that price range. So definitely, if you can find one, scoop one up. And if you have any questions, or if you want me to do a video on anything specific with the Sienna, cover anything specific, just, you know, feel free to leave a comment, and I review all my comments. I try and get back to everybody as soon as I can. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and follow for more. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.